Our words matter. What we say can change a person's life. Michael Gardner was 4 years old on September 11th, 2001. He lived here in Manhattan with his parents and his younger sister. That day, Michael's father died in the attacks on the World Trade Center. Benjamin Weinberg, also 4 years old, was Michael's best friend. Soon after September 11th, Benjamin's parents told him that Michael's daddy had died. When the boys were playing together, Benjamin's parents overheard him say, "Michael, I will always share my daddy with you." I spoke with both Michael and Benjamin recently. They are such impressive young men. They're now in college in their junior year, still the best of friends. They speak on the phone regularly and every so often even live stream our Central Synagogue services. Michael has never forgotten what Benjamin said to him on that September day. None of us who have heard what Benjamin said will ever forget them. Sam Zarrow liked to tell this story. When Sam was a teenager, he showed up at a Jewish dance at his local YMHA in Newark. He had immigrated from Poland just a few years earlier, barely spoke English, and was finding his way. He arrived at the Y to learn that the dance had an admission fee of 25 cents. Sam was penniless. When the woman at the front door learned that Sam had no money, she looked at him right in the eye, smiled, and said, "Come on in. You can pay me another time." Why did Sam retell this story so often throughout his life? His daughter Linda explained to me that Sam was embarrassed to be poor. And this woman, she did not see him as a charity case. She treated him with respect. Her communication was clear and direct and kind. That night, she opened a door to a dance and a life that unfolded beyond. Their brief conversation stayed with Sam his entire life until he died at the age of 94. Our words matter. What we say and how we say them, our words can change people's lives forever. How we speak to one another has been a priority for Jewish texts, commentators, and congregants for millennia. What we say has power. Our Hebrew Bible states that the tongue has the might of life and death. Words can destroy a reputation, break a heart, and shatter a spirit. Other Jewish sources compare malicious speech to murder. Murder. And we also know that what we say can be a priceless gift that can connect us, buoy and strengthen us, and build the strongest foundations for our lives. How does the universe come to being in the stories of our Torah? God says, "Let there be light," the Torah states. Help me out here. There was light, yes. "Let there be water and land," says God. The Torah affirms it was so. God pronounces, "Let there be sun and the moon, animals, fish, and humanity." The Torah declares it was so. God speaks the earth, the heavens, and all of earth's creatures into existence. Our tradition makes it clear from the very beginning that what we utter has the capacity to create the world around us. Do you know the word abracadabra is derived from ancient Hebrew? Abracadabra. Such a brilliant word, right? Let's say it together. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Abracadabra, from the ancient Hebrew and Aramaic, means what I speak will come to be. Words create reality. With our words, we are magicians. We have prodigious power, our speech. We're told clearly time and time again to use our words carefully and wisely. We teach our children this from the earliest age. Since last Rosh HaShanah, our public and private dialogue has reached terrible depths. This is not the first time our nation has struggled with how we speak with one another. I know there are people in this congregation who lived during the strife of the civil rights movement, the Vietnam era, and other times when coarse language among citizens led to violence. We Jews only have to look at our history, both ancient and modern, to be reminded that hateful and dehumanizing words can result in abject horror. Today, the epicenter of this mean-spirited and spiteful, vile speech has been our political world. It's throughout our culture. We see it in reality television, on Facebook, Twitter, cable news. I could go on, and I know you could too. Technology is connected to this dynamic. We are living in a fundamentally new era that has provided fertile ground for disseminating every type of message instantaneously. Too often, people speak and write without stopping to reflect with what they are saying, and too often the lowest common denominator prevails. I often find myself each morning shaking my head at disbelief at the vitriolic speech I am witnessing on my screens. I have heard this from many of you as well. We have lost our way. What are we to do? Rabbi Hillel, the preeminent, pre-internet sage who lived 2,000 years ago, teaches that at its core, Judaism is about being kind and taking care of ourselves and others. He taught, what is hateful to you, do not do to another. This is the entirety of the Torah, he said. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. One of our initial responses to hateful speech may be to reflect that hatred right back to the perpetrator, to respond to hate with hate. We might experience the emotion of hate within ourselves, and that is why Hillel's words are so clear about this subject. What is hateful to you, do not do to another. Hillel's choice of words is intentional. It is much too easy to give into our emotions when we experience hate. Hillel wanted us to take a stand against it and stop the cycle of violence that comes with hate. This is why Judaism is categorically opposed to hating another, even if the other is behaving in horrific ways. There is another way. Rabbi Hillel illumined this path. He said, strive to be a person of integrity. Umakom she'ein anashim hishtadel lihiot ish. In a place where no one is being a mensch. Strive to be a mensch. Like a wise parent, Hillel does not go into a litany of detail about how to do this, but we know. We know from the entirety of the Torah and its commandments. We know from its moral code and the commentary on the Torah that acts of kindness and justice and peace are at the center of our tradition. And when we pause to access our own heart and soul, we know intrinsically how we should be speaking to and treating one another. We know. Hillel understood that we are impacted by the greater culture around us. We are influenced by each other. Daily doses of contemptuous language can become normal. We may even have caught ourselves talking in ways that we find unacceptable. Perhaps we've fallen into the trap of covering up our unruly behavior with some sort of excuse. Judaism has no tolerance for me speaking harshly in the name of not suffering fools, or because I grew up in a tough neighborhood in Suffolk County. Hey, there are tough neighborhoods in Suffolk County. Even those who grew up in Queens are not exempt. None of us are exempt from these principles of behavior. If we're following our tradition, then whether or not we are in a boardroom, our living room, a private Facebook discussion room, or even a locker room, we have no business using our words in ways that demean or hurt. And we cannot justify speaking harshly to those that are the closest to us because they are so close. On the contrary, we should be endeavoring to be the most careful with our family and friends, people that we say are the most dear to us, even if they are annoying, especially if they are annoying, even if it's hard because we're with them day in and day out. This is the point of these standards of ours. Hillel reminds us, no matter the situation, we need to take care of each other. We need to be the mensch, especially when others are not. When we take this position, we can encourage others to follow our lead, to be influenced by us. With regard to our elected officials, we should write to them and let them know that we expect them to be civil, to stop being hostile, to dedicate their efforts to creating a dignified city, state, and nation where we can live in peace and thrive among one another. This is how they should be spending their time. We have thousands of years of discerned wisdom as to what's at stake with how we speak to one another. Among them are stories of how we might talk when crisis strikes. The rabbis teach that Moses, at a time of personal stress and loss, was admonished for how he behaved just after the death of his sister Miriam. Moses is told to provide water to throngs of thirsty and kvetchy Israelites by speaking to a rock. The act of talking to the stone would release the water. Unnerved by Miriam's death, he screams at all the people. He calls them rebels, and then he viciously strikes the rock that he is supposed to be talking to. Because of this public display of verbal and physical aggression, the rabbis explained that Moses was punished and prevented from entering the promised land. Who knows what promised lands our inappropriate speech might keep us from entering? In the biblical story of Ruth, we see that words can be a means to healing and recovery in a catastrophe. Ruth is the Gentile daughter-in-law of Naomi. They are living in Ruth's homeland, an area near Israel called Moab. Naomi's husband dies, and soon so does her son, Ruth's husband. They are bereft and impoverished, and Naomi decides to return to Israel. Naomi urges her daughter-in-law Ruth to stay in her native Moab and return to her parents' home for the best chance of a new life with her own people. But Ruth is dedicated to her mother-in-law, Naomi. She tells Naomi, "Do not ask me to leave you. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, your God, my God. Wherever your journey takes you, I'll stay with you." Ruth makes it clear with her words as her bond that she has cast her lot with Naomi no matter what. Naomi hears her, witnesses her determination, and stops arguing. Although destitute, Ruth and Naomi help each other find their way back to Israel, where they slowly begin to recover. Ruth remarries and has a son. The last verse of Ruth's story explains that the foremost king of Israel, King David, emerges from her family line. David is Ruth's great-grandson. The devotion of this mother Naomi and daughter-in-law Ruth changes the course of Jewish history. It has been a cataclysmic month for our nation with hurricanes Harvey and Irma. I have been heartened by survivors standing beside their flooded homes who have said, "Our family is safe," and that is what is most important. We have each other, and we'll figure out the rest. Clear words of love and compassion and devotion can restore. No matter our situation, within each of us is a voice that can heal us in crisis and lift us out of the abyss. For months, as I prepared this sermon, I have tried to embrace the high benchmark of speech set forth by our tradition, and it has been very difficult. I have made so many mistakes, so many. It has been humbling. It is hard to change, but I know I can do it. We can do it. We can lean into our 3,000-year-old legacy and take the next step forward. Some of us have found the discipline to eat better, give up a dangerous habit, or keep a regular exercise routine. No doubt, each of us can improve with how we speak with one another. When this sermon is published on our website and on my Facebook page, I'll also include this page of Jewish practices that has helped me. If you'd like one after services, you can come up to the front. I'll be glad to give one to you. And I would like to hear your additional recommendations. And I hope you share them with others that you know as well. This process of reflecting upon our behavior and striving to advance is central to this 10-day High Holy Day season. My friend Carolyn once paid a lot of money for a clinic, a tennis clinic with a world-class coach. At the first lesson, the pro gathered together all the participants and said, "I am going to tell you the secret to an exceptional tennis game. Do not worry whether you have the best racket. Pay no attention to your outfit or to the distractions on your phone or even the other opponent or anything else around you." And here's the key, he said. Keep your eye on the ball. Carolyn was incredulous. She knew to keep her eye on the ball. She had heard this advice all her life. She had said it 1,000 times. This is what she heard to pay. Keep your eye on the ball. And as she participated in this clinic, this teaching was reinforced in every tip and in all the drills. Keep your eye on that darn ball. And it worked. So it can be for us. We know how important it is to use our speech for good. We have been taught it since we were small. We have said it to ourselves 1,000 times. And yet it can be so easy to lose our way, to be distracted by a sharp email, a tweet, a negative comment by a relative. So easy to lose our cool in crisis, to respond too quickly without taking time to pause and collect our thoughts. Rosh Hashanah is a time to focus on ourselves and our inner goodness, to recommit to being a mensch and to keep our eye on the ball of this timeless standard of our people. When we take care with what we say and how we say it, well, I believe we can open up doors that will change people's lives forever. We can reduce cycles of hatred and increase peace among our family, friends, and neighbors. And yes, my friends, we can make history. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with you. Let it begin with all of us. Shana Tova.